Welcome back to Renfield Plays. This is attempt 37 of hardcore nuzlocking Pokemon Emerald Kaizo. If you have not seen my previous attempts, go back and check out those videos. But this is going to be my 37th try. I'm going to show you a little bit about how it's been going. This one is a Torchic run, which I haven't done in a while. I saw some people were able to beat the game with Torchic, so I thought, why don't I see how Torchic is now that I've gotten some measure into the first couple of stages of the game. Now, the encounters on this run have been really blessed. As you'll about to see, I started with Nidoran here, which is only 10% and like isn't very good for the first few gyms. But I coincidentally got my second encounter here as Skitty, and Skitty 50% of the time holds Moonstone. So, and you can see here, I caught one holding Moonstone. So the odds of this happening are really, really low. But what that means is I can evolve this Nidoran into Nidoking as soon as the first gym, if I want to, because the level cap is 16, so I can evolve to Nidorino at level 16, and then use the Moonstone that I got from the Skitty to go straight into Nidoking. Now, I choose not to do that, because then my Nidoking wouldn't have any good moves, doesn't learn any moves until 42, so I wouldn't learn any ground moves or poison moves for a long time. So I decided to just keep it Nidoran for the early portion of this game. But that was a really exciting encounter because it meant that if I was able to keep going, I'd be able to get an early Nidoking. I was able to get the Azurill here in Petalburg City, but it wasn't a huge power one. It has thick fat. So that was a more negative encounter. And here's probably the worst encounter so far. I got a Magby here in Oldale Town, which is your fire encounter. But I already have a fire Pokemon, so it's really not that big of a loss, I would say. You might have noticed, or maybe you didn't, that my nickname theme this time is One Piece nicknames. So all of my Pokemon are nicknamed after a character in One Piece. We started with Sanji as Torchic, because even though it's not my favorite character, he has a fire type kicking style. So it makes sense for a Pokemon that will evolve into Blaziken. And here, you're just seeing me run through these trainers. This is just going to lead up to my final encounter of the early game, which is going to be the Petalburg Woods. And I get a good encounter there again. The Torchic that I got is Speed Boost, but that ends up not mattering. I didn't know this at the time, but you can only have Speed Boost in this game while you're a Torchic, so as soon as it evolves, it stopped being Speed Boost. So if you noticed that and thought that was cool, that's not going to last very long. So here I get my Woods encounter, and it is a Bellsprout, and that's really good because usually you need to have something that can use Toxic to beat some of the Gym Leader Roxanne's Pokemon. But as it turns out, that's not so important when you start with Torchic. Now, the weird thing is that in attempt 36, I had my first Chimecho run. And here in attempt 37, I got another Chimecho here on route like 115 or 116 as my encounter. So that's really helpful because the second gym leader, Brawly, is a fighting type gym leader. But it was just unusual to get Chimecho here again. I think it's only like a 4% encounter or something, maybe 2%. I don't know off the top of my head. It was actually pretty hard to catch. I had a close encounter with some of my Pokemon, but eventually I'm able to pull it out. The cool thing about Chimecho is it gives you a recovery Pokemon, so you can stall while you're using Toxic, or you can get speed control with Thunder Wave. So Chimecho is really good for the early game. And then my final encounter here, well, actually not my final encounter. The next two encounters are going to be the fishing spot. I decide to get either Kabuto or Ammonite. You can always save that route and try to get Metang later in the game, which is obviously really strong. But instead here, I decide just to be safe, do what I can to beat Roxanne. And so I end up opting to fish, and then after that I also did the tunnel encounter at the end of Route 115, I think it is, and so I beat all those trainers And for like the umpteenth time, I got Onyx again. And Onyx is not the most common Pokemon. I think it's the 3rd or 4th most common. But I have never gotten Geodude, and I have never gotten Nosepass, which are the 2 most common in the cave. So it's weird that I keep getting Onyx. I think more than half the time I've gotten Onyx as my encounter from that route. But Onyx isn't bad because it has the highest defense stat of all of those Pokemon, so it's helpful for switching on these first 2 gyms, which has been helping me to beat these first 2 gyms more consistently recently. So here I go to do some fishing. Going to end up encountering Kabuto here, which is better than Ammonite, especially if it is battle armor. And this one is. So encounters have been really insane so far on this run. While I have a bad encounter in Skitty, it gave me the Moonstone for Nidoran, which is insane to get in the same run. I have the Bellsprout, which gives me Toxic access. I got and then I have Marill instead of Love Disc. I didn't get the Little Root Town encounter. I'm saving that for later on to try to get Corphish again, as I have in more recent runs. And now I've gotten Kabuto with battle armor, which makes up for Marill having thick fat instead of huge power. So now it's time for Roxanne, and I'm not going to show the trainers here. I was able to breeze through those. If you want to see them, I can post that battle or those battles as well. But for the sake of making this a recap, I put only the most important things of the encounters and the gym leaders and the rival fight in this video. So now it's time for Roxanne. And something I learned this run, I thought Combuskin would not be as good as Grovyle. It's still not as good. What Combuskin does do that Grovyle can't is that it can take out Nosepass really consistently. Usually you have to find a Pokemon that can do 40%, then switch into Kabuto and do 60% with your next Pokemon, or with Kabuto. So you have to kind of pull off some switches with Cherry Berry. But here Combuskin knows Seismic Toss, so you always know exactly how much damage you're doing, and then you just finish it off with Double Kick. Then the next Pokemon that it wants to send in, the AI that is their Anorith, and Anorith is going to want to use Aerial Ace against my Combuskin because it's fighting type. So that gives me a safe switch into Kabuto, and because I'm battle armor, even though the Anorith is faster than me, I'm not risking a critical hit to this Brick Break, and so I can use Rock Tomb, and it's actually okay that I don't one-shot with Rock Tomb here, even though I'm an adamant Kabuto. You think I'd be able to get it, because I can just Giga Drain and get back a couple hit points. And then Lileep is going to want to come in, and Lileep is actually countered by Combuskin. Usually the thing with Trico runs is you're like, how am I going to beat this Lileep? You need to get a toxic Pokemon, or you need to get Slugma to use Will-O-Wisp on it. And you're fearing Ancient Power Boost. As you can see here, I actually have the Lileep Ancient Power Boost on me, which usually spells the end of a run, but because of the strength of Double Kick there, I'm able to get around the defense boost anyway. Actually, I could have done more damage with Flame Wheel on the first attack on that Lileep, but I decided to use Seismic Toss because I didn't want to risk a crit triggering the Citrus Berry there. So now I send in Golden Belfry, and it takes out the Relicanth. But here's the hard part. So usually Grovyle is good at taking out Lunatone. Here I had to hope that it didn't just Rock Slide critical hit my Azumarill here, or flinch my Azumarill here, because getting off the charm was essential to my strategy. Otherwise I had no way to beat this Lunatone. I needed to be able to reduce the power of its Rock Slide, or it just 1v1s any of my Pokemon. That's the best thing about a Grovyle run in the beginning of the game, is that it outspeeds Lunatone, and it can do more than 50% of its health, and it's not holding Citrus Berry, so you don't have to worry about it healing either. It does have a healing move, but it's not going to get it off because the Grovile's faster. So here I just wanted to get the speed control on the Lunatone, and I have to chip it a little bit because I can't even 2-hit KO it with anything. So I use Psybeam here to reduce its health a little bit, and I wasn't sure whether I had done 20% with that first Psybeam, so I wanted to do another one. And here's where the pros of Chimecho really shine. I can use Wish while I switch, so that even if it hadn't been paralyzed there, as it used Rock Slide or Confusion, I would have been able to heal my Weepinbell, which is only doing like 40% with its Bullet Seeds. Another cool thing about the Torchic run is that you get to use Bullet Seed on a different Pokemon than Grovyle. And so I used it on my Weepinbell here, which doesn't get a good grass move until like level 30 or something. So it was really cool to be able to use Weepinbell with a better grass move. So I've been having a lot of fun, some renewed energy for the game, playing the Torchic run here. So I didn't have to use my Weepinbell to Toxic the Lileep and risk taking a lot of damage on switches between, you know, pivoting into Onix on Ancient Powers and back into Weepinbell on Giga Drains. And Weepinbell doesn't have as good a defenses as like Gloom does. So it's a little different how you play it defensively. Instead, I could conserve it for this Shuckle, and that was the last obstacle. And Meryl was able to take it out here and give me the Stone Badge. I actually hadn't gotten my Magikarp yet. I saved that encounter here actually for the sake of the video. So I didn't encounter a Pokemon on this route, so I could just get all the encounters here right in a row. So I catch my Magikarp, which is going to be pivotal in beating Brawly. No deaths so far in the run. It's a female Magikarp, so I name it Yamato. I was going to name it Momonosuke if it was a male Magikarp. And then make my way to Dewford Town here, talk to Dad on the way. And now it's time to catch a Seal and then a Clam Pearl. These both ended up being male, so I named them after mermen from One Piece, Neptune's sons. But Seal, while it's not good yet, has some usage versus the rival coming up, and then it has a lot of usage as a pivot for the third gym. So I ended up boxing it here for a while, but then Clam Pearl here is going to end up coming with me to the Brawly fight. So it's another battle armor Pokemon like Kabuto, but Kabuto is weak to fighting. So with Clam Pearl and Azumarill, I can use Azumarill to set up Clam Pearl to 1v1 Pokemon because it can use Charm, and then since it can't get, since Clam Pearl can't be critical hit thanks to its ability, the Charms allow it to beat a lot of Pokemon that it normally wouldn't. Now this next encounter is really insane. I've had some really good encounters. You know, the bad ones have been the Magby and the Skitty, besides the fact that it gave me a Moonstone, and the Meryl not being huge power. But I get Mankey here, which is what you want, because you want a chance at getting a really good Primeape. But the stats on this Mankey are ridiculous, and this is where like I start to get really nervous because I know like the run is really good. This Mankey, which I thought about naming Luffy because he's Monkey D. Luffy, but even though if it was a bad Mankey, I didn't want to make Luffy a bad Pokemon, so I was kind of worried about it. But this Mankey has the necessary attack and speed stats to take out a lot of the 4th Gym Leader's Pokemon with Reversal. So now it's like, if I can get to the 4th Gym Leader, I have a really favorable matchup, and so I have to not blow it. And I know I'm saying that as someone who's never even beaten the 3rd Gym Leader in a hardcore Nuzlocke of this game, but now I feel like I have really good chances, so I'm playing extremely carefully now. And here I am in that 2nd gym battle. I bring like the same Pokemon to this battle all the time. Like I've gotten Onix a bunch, so Onix would be here, but whatever rock or ground Pokemon I got would be in that spot. or slot. I've got Gyarados for Intimidate, and so I pivot between the two. I've got my Grass Poison type because Poison resists fighting, so I've got Weepin' Bell, Clam Pearl, like I said, to combo with the Azumarill's Charm. And then that last Pokemon being one I had in the last run, the Chimecho. Unfortunately, just like my Chimecho in Attempt 36, this Chimecho is also pretty slow. It has negative speed nature, but it's not 0 IV like the last one I had. I think it's like 8 speed IV. So it's a little bit faster, but still not faster than most of these fighting type Pokemon. So I have to be pretty careful. So here, my plan against this Hitmonlee is to Toxic it because it doesn't have Lumberry like 4 of the other Pokemon that he has. So now I just pivot a lot between Gyarados and Onix. I opted to take out the Hitmontop that he had with my Clam Pearl after using some Intimidates. So now there's 4 Pokemon remaining in this gym leader. Now Hitmonchan comes out. My plan is always to Intimidate it as much as I think I can. 5 times is optimal, but you can get away with only 3 or 4 because after the third one, you're only reducing the damage by about 5% at most, which isn't tremendous, but my Onix has gotten crit a couple times, so it's much lower on HP than I thought it would be in this fight. So now I'm starting to think like I can't afford to wait so much, and my first attempt at Toxic there gets flinched by the Rock Slide. So now I know I can't use Weepin' Bell again probably during this battle, so sometimes what I like to do against Hariyama, which is the final Pokemon, is like double Toxic it to get through the Lumberry the first time and then Toxic it again. But I know I can't do that now. So Onix is coming in clutch here as my encounter because its defense is so high that it can only take a single damage point for most of these Rock Slides. So the crits aren't mattering so much as long as I don't get crit again because he can switch in so many times. So now to deal with this Hariyama, I need to get some charms down. And I'm thinking now at this point that I'm probably going to have to take out multiple Pokemon with Chimecho, which will be hard because of its low speed stat. So it's going to be really critical that I get some speed drop with the Thunder Wave and perhaps heal while they're fully paralyzed. So Meditite comes in now. This was kind of tricky. I didn't know how I was going to beat the Meditite with such low hit points on everything. And I think what I decide is I'm going to try to get off an attack here with Clam Pearl, and unfortunately I'm fully paralyzed. So now my only thing I can do left is I have to pivot between Onix and Gyarados enough times that I can knock it out with Flail. So I need to get down to like, was it like 6 HP or something? I'm having a hard time remembering, but I just have to hope I don't get crit here with Onix or with Gyarados. And either one is going to significantly hurt the run. I take 4 damage there. I think at some point I'm on my iPad looking at the damage that I need to be able to be at with Gyarados in order to one-shot this. So I decided that I need to go one more time here. And it takes me, down to 6 HP. And at this point, you can see the character stops bouncing up and down because I am looking at my browser to see what the damage I need is to one-shot this Meditite. And I determined that I can, at this point, KO with Flail. But that could have gone wrong so many times. Luckily, I was able to finish it out there. And the last Pokemon, Poliwrath, all I've got left is the Chimecho. It takes a Surf there. I need to recover, not get crit. So I'm going to keep recovering until I get full HP. Here I try to use Wish, probably stupidly, but because I end up at the same place that I was a turn ago. So now I just need to make sure I don't get paralyzed into a crit because I'm slower than the Poliwrath, so I need to always be at pretty high HP before I try to get off that second Psybeam. So still no deaths. This is the farthest I've gotten in this game without any deaths. My last run was pretty close. I only lost Love Disc to a critical hit during this exact fight. And that was the only death I had up until the third gym leader. Now I'm all the way up to my rival battle with May. I beat the Aqua Grunt the way you usually do by sweeping 8 of their 12 Pokemon with Gyarados Flail. Now I fight against her, and I finally get to bring my Nidorino. I hadn't evolved it until level 20 so that it would learn Sludge Bomb. Otherwise, it doesn't learn Sludge Bomb till like level 32. So I delayed it this long, but I still haven't evolved it because I want to get rid of Cut, which I used on it earlier to get Miracle Seed for Bellsprout. As you can see in its moveset here, I don't think I battle with it here, but I'm going to evolve it to Nidoking now, but I wanted to get rid of Cut before I did so that I would have an extra move slot, and so Nidorino learns a move at level 26, so I used the Daycare to get rid of Cut by the Daycare teaching it a new move and pushing Cut out of its move slot. So I thought Onix would be able to KO the Pidgeotto here, but it is taking too much damage from this Steel Wing. So this Pidgeotto actually ends up being like the hardest part of this fight, but I'm able to KO it here with Kabuto, which doesn't risk the critical hit, obviously. So I bring back a Nidorino, and it's able to deal with the Ivysaur, and that brings me to the end of this run. I have beaten all the trainers now between me and the gym, but I have not gotten my encounters yet. I decided I didn't need them to beat the trainers or to beat the joke battle with, what's his name, Wally. So my next episode, or perhaps my next stream, since my new computer is coming in, will be me getting 10 encounters, including perhaps Volt Absorb Chinchou, the attempt at it anyway, before I take on the Melville City Gym. And that's attempt 37, so far with no deaths. Hopefully next week I'll be able to show you how this continues to go, and I hope it's good news, because this is probably my best run so far. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.